Okay, so this is the first IXL assignment, level I, W2. It's called Name, Measure, and Classify Angles. Okay, so again, always make sure you're signed in. You should see your name up there before you start. Make sure it matches the same name here. You're going to get different questions about angles and how to measure them and name them and that sort of thing. So like for this question, it's asking you to name this angle. Okay, so the angle that you're naming is the one in red. All right, so that's W. So you can name this different ways. All right, there's different ways to do it. So the simplest way for angle is you just push the angle symbol and the letter. So it's angle W. All right, so that's the easiest way. All right, we'll go over a few ways and some other questions. All right, so this one too. So now this one, I could do angle T. That's the easiest thing to do. Or what I could do is say, use the angle symbol and then use the letters around it. So I could go VTU, angle VTU. You just have to make sure that the letter is in the middle. So it doesn't matter what if you put U first or V first, as long as the T is in the middle. Okay, that has to be in the middle. All right. Okay, so this is again asking about like obtuse, acute angles like we did before. So this is bigger than 90. So this would be obtuse. Okay. Smaller than 90, acute. And then if it was 90, it would be right. So here's another obtuse angle, bigger than 90. There's another one. Now this one, straight across. So this one, I would call that a straight angle. Okay. Now another one, name this angle. We'll say angle, I'll start with Z this time, Z, and then I just have to make sure that X is in the middle, and then I put the other letter, so ZXY. Or I could put YXZ. As long as X is in the middle, it doesn't matter, okay? All right, so that's pretty much how you do these ones. There will be questions where it asks you to, actually, let me see if I can skip ahead here. Let me jump to the next level. Okay, so here, you're gonna have to name it 3 ways, 3 different ways. Okay, one way is the first way, W, just put the letter itself. The second way, I'll put the angle, and then I have to put the letters around it. So V, sorry, it keeps jumping around. Oh my gosh, sorry about that. VWU, okay? Or I can switch the letters, put U, W, V. Okay, so either way works. All right, so this is where it's gonna ask you to do like 3 different ways. All right, so that's like pretty much all the questions you're gonna see with IXL for that first assignment, okay? But again, that's how you name those, all right? Again, if you guys have questions as we go through this, feel free to ask. All right, it's like one person got that done already. Okay, so then the next IXL assignment, you're going to be looking at ASA and angle side. So that's a new rule. So last week, I don't know if you guys remember, but last week, let me actually go over here. You guys had angle, side angle, you had SSS, you had SAS. So for this one, it was something like this, where you had 2 angles that were congruent. Remember, they have to be the exact same. And then you had a side right in the middle that was also equal or congruent, okay? SSS, you had all 3 sides congruent, okay? And then SAS,
Coach Osborne, we can see.
okay, hang on just a second, my bad. You guys at home? All right, can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, so sorry about that. So the first one, ASA, we had angle and then angle with a side in the middle. So notice how the S is in the middle. Okay, then here you had two triangles and all three sides were equal. Okay, and then this one, SAS, you have two sides that are equal on this triangle and this triangle with an angle that's in the middle of the two or in between. Okay, so the new one that you guys are going to see this week is AAS, angle side, which would be something like this. You're going to have two angles, and then right after that angle, you'll have a side. Okay. And what's important here is notice how that side is right next to the angle with one line. So I got to make sure that on this triangle, that side is right next to that angle with one line. So I couldn't, in other words, if I put it right here, that's not congruent because the side is not next to the same angle. So I got to make sure that the side that's the equal, that matches, is on the same, is right next to the same angle. Okay. So that's what you guys are going to see this week. Just a new triangle congruence rule. Again, you guys didn't have to write that down. You guys are going to take notes on that in the ed puzzle. Okay, so here, you'll look at something like that. Okay, so here you're going to get three triangles. Okay, it's going to ask you which two of them are actually congruent. So which ones match? Okay, so first you got to decide which ones match. Say, okay, well, what I see is an angle with two lines and another angle with one line, and then two marks, right? I got two marks here, but this one has one mark. So that doesn't match because that's not the same. They both should have two marks. But if I go down to this triangle, that does have two marks. So in other words, this one over here is not a match. Okay, that one doesn't work for this one. So here I've got angle and an angle, and then look what's right in the middle, side. So these are congruent by ASA. All right, so that's what I would want to use to make them congruent. Let me clear all this out. All right, so down here, since I know that I'm not using this one, okay, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to start with one of the triangles. And it doesn't matter which one you start with. I'm going to start with the one on top, okay? And I'm going to start with, let's say, R, okay? I'm going to start with R, because you basically have to write the congruence statement. And then I'm going to go to S and then Q. Now, it doesn't matter which letters you start with. You just got to make sure that you do the right order for the next one. So R on this one has the angle with one line. So that means that I got to go down to this triangle and start with the letter that has one line. The next letter I put was S here. So that means the second letter should be the one that has two lines. Okay, so here, that means I would want to go B, C, and then D. So I just got to make sure it matches up. Okay, so that's the whole point of this one. All right. And again, it tells you up here what theorem you have to use, ASA. Okay, so you basically just pick the one that doesn't match and then write the statement, okay? Okay, so one more here. So now here, let's say, all right, it says I have to use angle, side, okay? Well, this is angle, and then a side. This is angle, and a side, and so is this one, but notice again, there's a side with two marks, and the other ones have 1 mark. So that's obviously not the right one. So now over here, what I want to do is go ahead and make the statement. What did you say? Okay, sure, we could do x, z, y. So if I put x first, what's the first one over here? E, good. And then what comes after that? F, good. We want to match it up. Okay, because E goes to X, they both have the same marks, and then Z has the same marks as F, and that's, you go in that order. Okay, so let's go ahead and submit that, and that's pretty much what you're going to see for that whole assignment. Okay, that whole assignment, all the problems are the same. Okay. All right, let me clear this out. Turn that off. Okay, so now let's look at the next one after that. Okay, this is the last one we'll look at. So now this one, you can see that we're using all 4 of the theorems this time. Okay, the last one we were only using 2 of them. So here, so notice now you've got 2 triangles that are made by having them like attached to each other, right? So you got this triangle here, and then you have this triangle here. All right. So I want to look at it and say, all right, well, in this triangle, I've got an angle, and here's an angle. Here's a side, and here's a side, but I don't have that third piece of information. Okay, so here's what you're going to learn that's new today, is that when you have 2 lines crossing, let's actually look over here real quick at this. Let me erase this. When you have 2 lines that cross, the angles that are like right across from each other, like this angle and this angle, they're always going to be equal. Anytime you have 2 lines crossed, they'll always be equal. So if, like, for instance, let's say this is 33, right? That means that this angle is also 33 degrees. Same thing here. Let's say I got another angle. Let's say that this one is, well, this would have to be 147. So that means that the one that's straight across is the same, 147. All right, these are called vertical angles. When they're straight across, they're vertical, okay? So that's helpful to us because then that means if I'm looking at this one here, that means that these 2 angles that are right at the B, right there, oops, sorry. Try to undo that. That are right here and right here, those 2 are equal. So then that means that I have angle, an angle, and a side. And notice how the side's not in the middle, right? So I have angle, and then an angle, and a side. So that means I'm going to be using AAS, the new one that we're talking about, okay? All right, so now this one, again, you can see we have vertical angles again. So these 2 angles right here in the middle, we know those are equal. You have angle, angle, there's no side in the middle. So again, it's the same thing, angle, angle, side. All right, so it'd be this one here. All right, so let's jump a level. See what else we got. Okay, so now this is just like that first one we did before. Okay, you just kind of have to look really closely and see which ones match and which ones don't. And you could see that right away. This one right here has this like 4 tick marks right here. This has 3, this has 3. So that's the difference. So obviously this one isn't the one that works, and then you got to match it up just like you did before. Okay, so if I go, let's say A, B, C. Okay, so now this one, I don't have an angle to match up with. So what I got to do is look at the sides. For A, look at the sides. I have a 1 mark here and 3 marks here right on the sides of A. So I go over to the other triangle and I see 1 and 3. So that means U is the one that matches. because right on the sides of that point are the same sides. So that's what I'm going to start with. So U, and if I go to B, well, B has this side right here with the 2, and this side here with the 3 on the side. So which one would be next? Yes, T. So then I go over here, you can see that 2 and 3 are right on the side of that. So the next one would be T, and of course the last one would be S. Okay, because you only got 3 letters anyways. Okay, so that's how you work with those, okay? Let me stop